President Biden and VP Harris are getting updates on Hurricane Milton's lingering impact as the White House works overtime to fight the spread of misinformation about the government's storm response. Some of the information in question has been circulated by other politicians, including former President Donald Trump. Biden has slammed those remarks, calling them reckless and harmful, and spoke to reporters in Washington about the claims.
Our fellow Americans are putting their lives on the line to do this dangerous work and receive death penalties. Some received death penalties yesterday as a result of reckless, irresponsible, relentless disinformation and outright lies that continue to flow. Those who engage in such lies are undermining confidence in the rescue and recovery work that's opening and ongoing. As I speak, they're continuing. These lies are also harmful to those who most need help. Lives are on the line. People are in desperate situations. Have the decency to tell them the truth.
The president has remained in contact with Florida officials, including Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. The White House released a statement saying the two spoke this morning and, quote, the governor said they're still assessing the damage across the state. He thanked the president for the extensive federal support to prepare for and respond to the storm. The president reiterated that he will provide any support the state needs to speed response and recovery. And while the recent storms have upended some of the vice president and former president's campaign schedules, the two are officially back on the trail today, looking to win over voters in key battleground states. And now I want to bring in CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns, who's in Detroit, where former President Trump has been campaigning today. So, Caitlin, tell us, how has the Trump campaign been responding to the president's remarks?
Well, the former president started his remarks here to the Detroit Economic Club by talking about the hurricane. Of course, Florida is his home state. He owns several properties in this state, all on the eastern coast that was not affected by the path of the hurricane. But still, he offered his thoughts for those victims of the hurricane while also bashing the federal response. That's something that's been continued from him. As you mentioned, there were several fact checks needed for the former president's remarks about the last hurricane that hit in North Carolina last week, but you're seeing Trump continue to criticize the federal response to this one as well. And we'll keep an eye on whether there is more misinformation from that.
And Caitlin, it seemed to really get underneath President Biden's collar. He actually addressed, he was asked by reporters about it. He said, get a life, man. Help these people. He said that they have the decency to tell them the truth because lives are on the line. Let's discuss a little bit more. What is the former president saying about FEMA's response?
Yeah, I mean, the former president said incorrectly that FEMA funds were being diverted to help undocumented immigrants and not those on the ground, which just isn't true. And you've also had several Republicans come out and talk about the impact of misinformation on the actual recovery efforts. I mean, over the weekend on Face the Nation, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina said that misinformation is not helping anybody on the ground. You also had a Republican congressman from North Carolina earlier this week also have to put out a statement debunking all of the conspiracy theories that have been floating out there, including from Marjorie Taylor Greene that the government somehow controls the weather. So you've seen officials have to take time out of their day to debunk conspiracy theories about a storm. Meanwhile, people are suffering and needing help from both federal and local governments.
Yeah. All right, Caitlin, turning now to Vice President Harris. She sets off to Las Vegas for a town hall, but maybe even more remarkable is that former President Barack Obama is going to be out on the campaign trail for stumping for the vice president for the first time tonight. He'll be in Pittsburgh. Why is he just starting to campaign now, and how significant is his presence on the campaign trail expected to be?
Yeah, campaigning in that key battleground state of Pennsylvania. Lana, I have been to Pennsylvania every week for the past several months, which shows you pretty much how important that state is. It's neck and neck, virtually tied in our polling. And this is a state that could help determine who wins the White House. You've seen Kamala Harris and former President Trump go there nearly every week. Obama campaigning there is significant because this is the final stretch of the campaign, choosing to kick this off in Pittsburgh, the western part of the state, where they need to gather support, especially from moderate voters and even maybe some Republicans, to be able to build a winning coalition there. So the former President Obama is trying to rev up the Democratic Party base and encourage people to turn out to vote in that key state. And we'll see also his plans to campaign in the final stretch for Harris as she heads west this week to campaign as well.
All right, Caitlin Huey-Burns out there on the campaign trail. Thanks.